What is up, YouTube? I'm Devon DaVinci, leader of the Renaissance Crew, and you're watching DaVinci Reacts. Today we have part 2 of the Rwandan Genocide, brought to you by Feature History. Now, last time I did a reaction to this, I did make the stupid claim that I was going to be releasing the next part of this the next day. As I said, also, take that with a grain of salt, because sometimes, depending on what happens and depending on what time of the week that episode is released, it is not going to happen. Normally, I don't really release videos on the weekends anymore. So I'll try to release them Monday through Friday. That way I can give myself a little bit of a break because of my new, much busier schedule. I will be doing I'm doing the second part to this now. I will be doing the lightsaber episode tomorrow. Now I can say it'll be out tomorrow. I have a handful of videos that I'm planning on doing, but let's continue this. So the first episode, or the first part of this two-part video, they talked about pretty much the build-up to the Rwandan genocide. It didn't get to the genocide that we know about. There was talk of a genocide before that was committed by the Tutsis against the Hutu, I think. So both sides did genocides, I think, and at that moment, it let me know I need to shut the hell up and get the hell. Like at first, I had I only knew about the original, not the original, but I only knew about the more prominent genocide that happened in Rwanda, and I was getting ready to come in here with my let's all just get along, put the past behind us, but also accept responsibility for what you did and try to make amends. Little did I know that there was a genocide committed against them like about 50 years earlier. So now I'm just in a period where I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to shut the hell up and watch. If I see something that's worth commenting on, I will go ahead and comment. But just know, going in, I am not an expert in this topic at all. I'm learning. I was about to say just like you, but a lot of you probably know more about this than I do also. But the key is I'm learning. I'm going into this understanding that I don't know what this is, and I very well could be wrong with the things I say. So don't bite my head off or, try to talk my ear off in the comment section about how I'm wrong about this, wrong about that, or I don't know anything about this, don't know anything about that, because I've already admitted I don't know. But I'm covering this to learn. Anyway, let's jump into this and see what it has to offer.
Hello and welcome to what the video title says this is. Enjoy. Over the 6 months, the dynamic had completely changed. Rwanda's economy a ruin, the FAR was weak, and the RPF was strong. They arrived at the gates of Kigali in days, leaving a path of destruction behind them. Abuse and rape was rampant, the targeting of educated and political Hutu not uncommon, and their massacres not unheard of. Over 1 million Hutu fled for their lives. The French doubled their efforts, and the Hutu of Kigali prepared to die fighting, and so Kagame did not attack. Instead, this would be a message to his enemy now that the peace talks had resumed. The international community pressured Kagame to withdraw from his new gains, and so a large DMZ was opened between the two sides. The threat of the RPF less imminent, Habyarimana felt the Akazu breathing down his neck, and as a counter, made many concessions to the Tutsi rather than these radicals. This gave way for the signing of the Arusha Accords in August. Power sharing, the unified armed forces, and more was set for the Republic. The United Nations would deploy a new mission, UNAMIR, under the command of Canadian General Romeo Dallaire, and with a strong, mostly Belgian force. It seemed Rwanda's future was bright, but given the title of the video, you can guess it wasn't. Bagosora had left the Accords to, in his words, prepare for the apocalypse. Hutu power rallies became common. Interahamwe openly antagonized Tutsi, and weapon caches of guns, explosives, and most noticeably machetes, were finding their way to the militias, courtesy of the Akazu. The red flags were clear, and members of UNAMIR began overhearing much talk of a final solution. The Security Council, however, only kept reiterating, "You are to keep peace, not make it," and so, their hands were tied. On April 6, 94, President Habyarimana's plane was shot down outside Kigali
I
airport.
heard about that.
Was it the RPF? Was it the Akuzu? Was it the Jews? Probably not the last one, but the answer today
I was like, where did
remains
they
a
come
mystery.
from?
What is known as peace was currently burning up in the wreckage of that plane. Immediately after the crash, Bagosora and other high-ranking military met together as the Crisis Committee. It was a blatant attempt at seizing power. General Dallaire knew it, and knew what this meant for the true successor to Habyarimana, Prime Minister Agathe Uwilingiyimana. Pronunciation's not my forte. The Prime Minister was a moderate through and through, and was a clear target for the Akazu, and so she quickly had a UN escort assigned to her to protect her in this chaos. The chaos was at first a very aggressive presidential guard, but soon became something far more than that, far worse than that. The Thousands Hill Free Radio would let out a code word that the Interahamwe knew well: cut the tall trees. The militia moved through the streets in organised bands, attacking and butchering old Tutsi moderates they found. Old friends, neighbours, family, didn't matter. The FAR at best did nothing, and at worst assisted them. Meanwhile, UNAMIR's rules of engagement still kept them out. Belligerency was to be avoided at all costs. The memories of the Battle of Mogadishu in '93 haunted the Security Council. 19 US soldiers died and the political fallout was immeasurable. Compromising neutrality was a threat to all international bodies in Rwanda, and so the UN's peacekeeping had them only keeping to themselves. The FAR were one step ahead of the UN anyways. They wanted them gone, and knew how to do that. Their rogue soldiers would overwhelm the Prime Minister's escort and force their surrender, killing the woman and taking 10 Belgian soldiers hostage. They'd be brutally tortured before being hacked to death with machetes, and Dallaire couldn't do anything. The first night had been a nightmare, but the international community would finally respond on April the 8th. French, Belgian and US forces landed in Rwanda and began the evacuation of expats and expats only. All Rwandan refugees were turned back and only foreigners saved. Well, actually, France took some Rwandans.
Damn.
Members of the Akazu. And they may have also left supplies for the FAR. With their departure left the force that could have stopped this genocide, and shortly after that the Belgians and many others of UNAMIR left. In the face of 10 dead men, they gave up. Dallaire and the Ghanaians stayed to do what they could, walking a fine line of being court-martialed. It was a thankless job if ever there was one. The genocide would run rampant for 100 days. Packs of civilians armed with often not much more than machetes were brutally efficient, and the massacres held the company of mass rape and looting. The radio told them what to do, and the FAR helped them do it. They all believed that the ends justify the means. The Tutsi were violent oppressors, they had to be eradicated for a peaceful Rwanda. But the streets piling up with bodies don't scream peace to me. Kagame had resumed the civil war almost immediately after the president's departure. The FAR was too fixated on genocide to be any real fighting force, and the RPF had a very easy time painting a grim picture of the enemy. Every time UNAMIR demanded a ceasefire, it was ignored. Lucky Tutsi refugees were able to flock behind the lines of the RPF, and in late June that line had surrounded Kigali. Using elements of both traditional and psychological warfare, the better equipped and outnumbering FAR was defeated by July 4th, and the RPF took the capital. The genocide ended shortly after Kagame's victory, and 800,000 were left dead from the genocide alone. FAR, Interahamwe, Akazu, and really any fearing Hutu fled in the millions to Zaire, where they'd live as refugees across the border. After the Civil War, the former regime and its followers would find themselves like the Tutsi of the 1960s, and would carry out attacks and raids across the border just like they had done. In the reborn republic, Kagame styled himself as vice president, but fact was he did hold the real power. RPF propaganda quickly spread, and the evil of the genocide and the heroics of the RPF was to be known to all and repeated again and again. Rwanda became about peace and reconciliation, and Kagame made sure you didn't forget it. What was made to be forgotten though was the RPF's own crimes, and today very little has been done to bring justice to these cases. Rwanda was a shell of its former self. The decades of tension, violence, and distrust had left a country with 40% of its population gone, and everyone traumatized. The genocide had not only scarred Rwanda, it had become Rwanda. The international community came out to pay respects and lament about how it didn't know and was sorry. It was too little too late, and the dynamic of Central Africa had shifted dramatically, and the road was paved for the worst conflict Africa would ever suffer, the Congo Wars. At least so far. A nod of the head to the patrons, and a more exaggerated one to Oliver Hunt, David Kendall,
Again, if you want to show feature history support, the best way to do it is through Patreon, because I can guarantee you this video did not make any money. Just with the images of dead bodies and the topic of genocide, there's no way this video got monetized. My video covering it isn't going to get monetized. It's going to be marked as demonetized. I can try to appeal to see if it's going to go through, but I don't know if it's going to fully be able to go through. But yeah, I react to anything, so not all my videos are under this level of possible demonetization. But as a history channel, almost all his videos cover subjects like this. So if you want to show them support, join their Patreon. There will be a link in the original description box. So if you want to see the link, well, first you can guess it. Just patreon.com/feature history. That's what I'm guessing it is. Matter of fact, let me look at it and see. Yeah, patreon.com/feature history. But if you want to actually click on the link, then go to my description box for the original video. Click on that link. It'll take you to the original video. Then go to the description box of that video, and then just click the Patreon link. Now, with that being said, the actual genocide in this video was not really that long. Like it was a very short subject that they talked about. But then again, it could be because they're trying to, make sure the video isn't too like advertiser unfriendly. But yeah, I'd have to look up more individual situations and events and stuff like that. I mean, it was a genocide answer to another genocide, and it just seems, I don't know. I don't personally see how someone can even do that. Like, how can you talk yourself into thinking that killing men, women, and children is a good thing? Regardless of like what you believe, to do something like that, you have to be a horrible ass person. Like, I don't give a damn what race the people that are oppressing you are. You should know that, especially children, like they aren't a part of it, and if they have been taught anything, they're still at an age where you can change it. Like this whole, and I'm going to say something that could be ignorant, could be something that is like, oh, we tried that, but I'm about to say this whole thing could have been changed if you just educated people on the history of the Hutu and the Tutsis. Like, if you just let them know there's really no difference, and explain to them and younger generations that there's nothing different between you and them. Maybe interact with each other more. That way you can see there's no difference. I think one of the things that helped the black community in America after the segregation and things like that, like the reason why it's not as prominent as it once was is because black people and white people have like had a chance to work at the same jobs and go to the same bathrooms and use the same swim pools and drink from the same water fountains, and afterwards they're like, oh, nothing happened, nothing crazy is going on, and nothing crazy happened. They're no different than me, they're no different than you. Why the hell were we fighting each other so damn much? Like, that's what happens when when that fear of the unknown or fear of the other has been erased, that's what happens. You come together. Now, you might still have your differences, but it's differences at a level that's not just race. Now, there's going to be some stubborn people that are going to hang on to their dumb beliefs, and usually those are the more uneducated people that have shitty lives that want to find some type of scapegoat for why their lives are shitty. So they'll jump to something like that. But yeah, I feel like if there was just more things that could have gotten the Hutu and the Tutsis together and interacting with each other more and things like that, they probably would have been able to see that there's not anything different between the two. But again, that could just be me being ignorant. For all I know, they went through those efforts and it just couldn't work. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share. I look forward to seeing you guys on future videos. Until then, I am going to sign out. I'm Devon DaVinci, giving you the deuces. And if you have any more subjects in history that you think should have more coverage, then I will check it out. I know people have been requesting I react to epic history and things like that, and I will do that at some point. I promise you I will do that at some point. But for now, I just wanted to react to subjects that are related to other videos I did. The reason I reacted to this was because I did the reaction to the Geography Now Rwanda episode, and this is for the people that might not really know anything about or know a lot of details about the genocide like me. So this was a subject that could springboard you into that topic. Because again, even though this is a video we watched, take everything with a grain of salt and go and research it yourself. Like, take the subjects that were talked about in this video and go verify it. Don't flat out agree with everything because we don't know. This is just a YouTube video. I have faith that the dude probably had, credible. I imagine he's pretty credible, but always verify. Now, with that being said, I'm out. So I will see you guys in a future episode. The next episode of the next part of the lightsaber test for the hacksmith will be out tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. And I will be doing some Geography Nows and Family Guy Trying to Laughs and things like that in the very near future. So until then, I'm Devon DaVinci, giving you the deuces, and I'm signing out. Deuces.